They tell us to be kind, to be honest, to play fair, but the people who rise in this world don't follow those rules. They follow Machiavelli. And Machiavelli said, "You must be a lion to frighten the wolves, and a fox to recognize the traps." It sounds poetic, but it's a warning, because if you're not the lion, you'll be devoured, and if you're not the fox, you'll be tricked, trapped, and replaced, without even realizing it. This isn't about success, this is about survival in a world that feeds on the weak and blind. So what did Machiavelli really mean by this law? What happens when we fail to live it? And how do the most powerful people today still use it to climb, to conquer, and to control? Machiavelli wasn't telling us to act like animals. He was exposing the fact that everyone already does. Behind every polished smile is a fox. Behind every handshake is a lion waiting to strike if needed. If you've ever felt powerless, betrayed, or outplayed, this rule will change how you see the world. Because in the next few minutes, we're going to break down one of the most powerful laws of strategy ever written. We'll reveal what Machiavelli truly meant by be a lion and a fox. And by the end, you won't just understand it, you'll know how to use it. So stay with us. Because once you see the truth behind this rule, you'll never be manipulated again. Because the world doesn't reward the good, it rewards those who know when to be good and when to be dangerous. Why a fox? Outsmart the traps of life. The fox is not strong. It doesn't fight head-on, it doesn't roar, it doesn't lead with power, but it survives. Because it sees the trap before it steps in. Machiavelli understood something terrifying about human nature. That people don't just make mistakes, they design them for others. They set traps for the naive, the trusting, the unprepared. In his world, and ours, the battlefield is not always covered in blood. It's often covered in flattery, fake smiles, and invisible strings. To survive this, we must become like the fox. Cunning, silent, watching. Not paranoid, perceptive. Machiavelli wrote that rulers who lack the fox's cleverness are doomed. Because a prince who relies solely on the lion's strength falls into traps. Strength without strategy is suicide. Bravery without awareness is a shortcut to betrayal. Let's break this down with a modern example. Imagine a corporate boardroom. A CEO walks in, confident, powerful, respected, but he's surrounded by smiling men and women who want his job. He believes his authority will protect him. But what he doesn't see is that a trap has already been laid. False loyalty, leaked information, a public relations scandal in the making. The lion walks in believing no one dares challenge him. The fox sits back, listens quietly, and waits for the lion to fall. You see, the fox doesn't challenge directly. The fox influences, manipulates, disguises intent. Because the fox knows most power isn't taken by force, it's taken by perception. A single whisper at the right moment can collapse an empire. A well-placed doubt can turn friends into enemies. And in politics, in business, in relationships, the person who detects the trap first wins. But here's where most people fail. They think being clever means being a liar. That's not the point. The point is awareness. We must ask, what am I not being told? What's the real intention behind this gesture? What would I do if I were in their position? Because everyone plays a game. Some just admit it. And Machiavelli's fox doesn't play to survive, he plays to win, quietly and permanently. This is why being just a good person isn't enough. The world is full of traps laid by people who smile, and if we don't think like the fox, if we don't learn to anticipate deception, we will either be used or destroyed. Now think about your own life. Have you ever trusted someone who used you? Have you ever revealed too much too soon and had it thrown back in your face? Have you ever walked blindly into a situation and only later saw the setup? That was the moment you needed the fox. Not to lie, not to betray, but to detect, to observe, to outmaneuver. And remember, Machiavelli didn't say, be only a fox. Because the fox can detect the trap, but without the lion, it's powerless to destroy the one who set it. And that's what we'll uncover next. Why a lion? Instill fear when necessary. The fox survives by avoiding the trap, but sometimes avoiding the trap is not enough. Sometimes the trap has to be destroyed. That's where the lion comes in. Machiavelli wasn't romantic about power. He didn't believe in justice, fairness, or karma. He believed in force. And he understood a brutal truth. Fear protects more than love ever will. The lion doesn't explain himself. He doesn't negotiate. He doesn't ask for permission to exist. He roars, and the jungle makes way, because in this world, people don't always respond to reason. They respond to fear, and when fear is absent, betrayal is inevitable. You can be the smartest fox in the room, but if you don't have the strength to enforce your power, someone will take everything from you and smile while doing it. That's why Machiavelli warned. A ruler who lacks the strength to punish betrayal invites it. A man who forgives too much is not seen as noble, he's seen as weak. And weakness is a signal to the wolves. So what does it mean to be a lion? It means having the ability to strike and being willing to use it. It means setting boundaries with consequences, not requests. It means speaking once and being obeyed. It means building a presence so strong, so undeniable, that people think twice before even considering crossing you. Let's look at history. Cesare Borgia, Machiavelli's personal example of the perfect prince. He wasn't just cunning, he was ruthless. When one of his commanders betrayed him, Borgia didn't give him a warning. He didn't hold a meeting, he cut him down in public, made a spectacle of it. The message was simple: cross me and you disappear. Machiavelli admired that, because in his world, and in ours, uncertainty is weakness. If people aren't sure what you'll do when they betray you, they'll test you, they'll push, they'll take. But if they know you'll strike without hesitation, they'll think 10 times before they act. That's what the lion provides, clarity through fear. And make no mistake, this is not about being cruel, it's about being respected. Because respect without fear is fragile. It breaks the moment someone realizes you're bluffing. Now, let's bring it closer to home. How many times have we allowed disrespect to go unanswered? How often have we bitten our tongue, given second chances, explained ourselves just to keep the peace? And what happened? Did people respect us more, or did they sense they could get away with more? Being a lion isn't about violence, it's about presence. It's about being the kind of person others instinctively don't want to provoke. In the workplace, this could mean decisively shutting down manipulation. In relationships, it means walking away the moment someone tries to control or devalue you. In leadership, it means acting without hesitation when loyalty is broken. Because people don't follow the most reasonable leader. They follow the one who makes them feel safest or the one they fear disappointing. Machiavelli's lion is not reckless. He doesn't attack without cause. But when the moment comes, he doesn't flinch. We live in a world that punishes hesitation. That tests boundaries the moment they're set, and if we lack the lion's strength, we become prey, no matter how clever our fox may be. The lion is not the opposite of the fox. He is its armor, because cunning without power is ignored, and power without cunning is misused. But when you combine the two, you become unstoppable. The psychological conflict: can one person be both? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us aren't lions, and we aren't foxes either. We're something in between, soft, confused, reactive. We want to be clever without being cold. We want to be strong without being feared. We want to win without fighting. But Machiavelli would laugh at this, because to him, power is not given to those who hesitate. It's taken by those who know what they must become. And that brings us to the real challenge. Can a single person be both a lion and a fox? It's easy to say yes, but the truth is, most people fail at this transformation, not because they're incapable, but because they're afraid of what it demands. To be a fox, we must learn to lie with a purpose, to observe without revealing, to read people not through their words, but through their silences, hesitations, and intentions. But that requires a kind of emotional detachment that most people aren't comfortable with. It means accepting that manipulation exists and learning to defend against it, or use it if needed. To be a lion, we must access inner violence, not the kind that hurts others needlessly, but the kind that says, I will not be used. I will not be disrespected, and if you cross me, I will end the game, not negotiate it. But this also terrifies people, because we've been conditioned to believe that being feared makes us bad. That strength is dangerous, that being too much will push people away. And yet, it is exactly those who are feared and respected who are never betrayed. This is where the psychological war begins. We want to be liked, we want peace, we want connection. But the world doesn't operate on wants, it operates on leverage, and unless we learn to be both, to shift from charm to dominance without losing our center, we will always be caught off guard when the mask of civility falls. So, how do we do it? It begins by accepting a harsh reality. People are not what they seem. Behind the friendly coworker might be quiet envy. Behind the sweet words of a partner could be manipulation. Behind the team player may hide ambition with a dagger. If we refuse to see this, we remain vulnerable. The fox inside us watches. He collects information. He prepares. He doesn't attack, he waits. But when the line is crossed, when loyalty is broken, when deception is confirmed, the lion awakens. He doesn't roar to show off. He roars to remind the world there are limits, and I will enforce them. This is the transformation most never complete, because it requires total self-control. The fox must know when to stop watching and start striking. The lion must know when to stop attacking and start planning. Most people lean on one side and neglect the other. They become soft manipulators, all strategy, no strength. Or they become reckless aggressors, all power, no precision. Both lose. The ones who win, the rare few who can feel the shift in a room. Sense when to observe and sense when to dominate. They speak with charm and are never disrespected. They move in silence and strike without warning. They forgive slowly and never twice. They are not born this way. They train themselves to become it. And the first step is killing the fantasy. The fantasy that people will treat you fairly, that your good intentions will be enough, that honesty alone will protect you. Machiavelli didn't write for idealists. He wrote for survivors, for kings in the making. And his message was simple. Be soft and the world will harden you. Be naive and the world will punish you. But be both lion and fox and the world will obey you. How this strategy is used in the modern world. Machiavelli wrote The Prince in the 16th century, but if you think his ideas are outdated, look around. The lion and the fox didn't die with kings and thrones. They simply put on suits and stepped into boardrooms, governments, and social media feeds. Because today, just like in Machiavelli's time, those who rise are not the strongest, they're the most strategic. Let's start with politics. Every modern politician is trained to appear moral, kind, virtuous, for the people. But behind the camera, backroom deals, hidden agendas, calculated betrayals. They smile for the crowd while sharpening knives behind the curtain. Why? Because Machiavelli's rule still holds. It is not necessary to have all the virtues, but to appear to have them. A fox knows how to disguise cunning as intelligence. A lion knows when to make a decision that looks democratic, but was never up for debate. The result? Public image is crafted, power is preserved. And the people remain controlled by illusion. Now look at the corporate world. The most powerful CEOs didn't get there by being nice. They got there by knowing when to play dumb and when to strike hard. A modern fox leaks just enough information to steer perception while never being traced. The modern lion shuts down competition with a calculated layoff, a hostile takeover, or a ruthless pivot. But here's the genius. They don't look like predators. They look like visionaries, innovators, leaders. Because in today's world, power doesn't wear a crown, it wears a mask. And this is exactly what Machiavelli predicted. He knew that raw power alone is unsustainable. A ruler who only inspires fear is eventually overthrown. But a ruler who blends fear with admiration, who appears moral while acting ruthless, is untouchable. That's how this strategy lives today, even in relationships. Yes, even there. Think about the people who manipulate with silence, who use kindness as a currency, then withdraw it to punish, who pretend to be victims while pulling every string behind the scenes. That's not just toxicity, that's the fox. And the lion? They're the ones who never need to raise their voice because their presence alone sets the rules. You don't question them, not because they're violent, but because something in you fears the consequences. This is what real power looks like in the modern world. Invisible, psychological, strategic. And if we don't learn to see it, we'll keep falling for it. We'll vote for the smiling face while being robbed blind. We'll stay loyal to the boss who praises us right before replacing us. We'll trust the charming partner who's been building an exit strategy for months. Why? Because we believed the appearance. And that's exactly what Machiavelli warned against. This strategy is used every day in headlines, negotiations, influencer culture, even friendships. The lion and the fox still rule. They've just gone digital. So what can we do? We don't need to become monsters. We don't need to lose our soul, but we must stop being blind. If someone is always sweet, we must ask why. If someone is always moral in public, we must wonder, what are they hiding in private? If someone rises quickly, untouched by scandal or sabotage, they're not lucky, they're Machiavellian. And here's the twist. The best use of this strategy is when no one knows you're using it. That's how modern lions and foxes win, not through noise, through silence, precision, and masks so convincing even their enemies feel safe, until it's too late. Machiavelli didn't just write for tyrants. He wrote for anyone living in a world full of manipulation, betrayal, and hidden agendas. That means he wrote for us. Applying the law today, real-life strategy guide. Let's be clear. This rule isn't about becoming heartless. It's about becoming sharp in a world that rewards those who see what others ignore. Machiavelli never told us to harm the innocent. He told us to protect ourselves from the wolves by becoming something they fear. So how do we apply the lion and fox strategy? In the real world, let's break it down. 1. Learn to read the room like a fox. The fox survives by sensing what's not being said. The trap is never advertised, it's hidden in the silence. In real life, this means training ourselves to detect subtle power moves. When someone compliments you too much, ask what do they want. When someone rushes you into a decision, ask why the urgency. When a group suddenly goes quiet when you walk in, don't ignore it. The fox doesn't accuse, he observes. He collects information, he watches who speaks and who listens too closely. Because the fox knows. What's not said is often more dangerous than what is. 2. Set boundaries like a lion once. The lion doesn't bark, he doesn't warn 10 times, he shows his teeth once, and the message is received. Most people fail here, they repeat themselves, they tolerate just one more time. They hope others will change, but lions don't hope, they act. In your life, this means when someone disrespects you, address it directly, don't explain it away. If a friend betrays your trust, remove access, not just talk about it. In work or leadership, establish what is acceptable, then enforce it consistently, not with rage, not with cruelty, with clarity and finality. Because when your boundaries are firm, people adjust. When they're soft, people push. 3. Balance the two without losing yourself. Being both lion and fox isn't about becoming someone else. It's about activating the parts of yourself that were buried by fear. We all have a fox inside, the voice that says something's wrong. We all have a lion, the instinct that says enough. The key is control. If you become only a fox, you'll live in fear, overthinking everything. If you become only a lion, you'll destroy what you should have outsmarted. But if you learn when to switch, you become unpredictable, respected, and free. Because true power isn't domination, it's autonomy, the freedom to move through life unmanipulated, to make decisions without pressure, to walk away from traps before they close. That's what Machiavelli wanted us to see. Not to be evil, but to stop being prey. In a world full of wolves in sheep's clothing, you don't survive by being a better sheep. You survive and lead by becoming both the predator and the ghost they never see coming. 4. Master the art of the mask. Machiavelli knew power works best when it's hidden. This doesn't mean being fake, it means being strategic with your truth. You don't need to show your emotions to everyone, you don't need to reveal your next move. You don't need to correct every lie spoken about you. Sometimes, silence is the sharpest blade. The fox smiles while planning, the lion waits in the shadows, not because he's scared, but because he's calculating. Appear calm when you're angry, appear unsure when you're confident, appear kind even when you're prepared to walk away. because the one who controls perception controls the battlefield. So now you know what Machiavelli really meant. Be a fox, see the trap. Be a lion, crush it when needed, not to become evil, but to stop being easy to destroy. Subscribe if you're ready to see the world for what it really is and rise above it. And comment below, are you more of a lion or a fox? Let's see who's really paying attention.